Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Super SourceCast. I'm your host, Nantendrex, and joining me today are Source Gaming members M and Spazzy.
Hey guys.
How's it going?
So, for this episode, we're here to talk about all the latest news as per the norm, but first, how are you both doing? Spazzy, I'll start. How are you doing? You've had the tornado season recently.
Yeah, well, hurricane season, and I think it still has like 70 days left, so, I mean, should be okay. I'm still standing.
Well, has the main one gone through? Are you just expected little stuff? I'm from the UK, so I have no idea what hurricanes are like. We have slightly windy days, and that's about as bad as it gets.
Yeah, I mean, we had, unlike, a lot of other disasters, you get fair warning when there's something coming in towards your area. But, yeah, we had Irma go through about a week ago. Like I said, I'm fine. It did some major damage, but nothing that personally affected me too badly. So we're completely clear now, but you just kind of have to, for the remainder of the season, another one could spawn at any time sort of deal, you know?
Okay. So just be on your toes and be set up for
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So apart from that, you're doing all right, though.
Oh, I'm doing fine. I just I have not set up my my desktop computer yet, so I'm just chilling on my laptop because I am lazy. If anyone was wondering.
And M, how are you doing?
Pretty good. No storms or hurricanes here. It's just been getting really hot, which is not good.
You Americans, it's cold here. We've got layers on.
Where are you from again, Em?
Canada.
Canada?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
The
like,
French
hot for
or-
Canada is what?
Probably not that bad, but it's grueling here.
Are you on the French side or the American side? British side, whatever.
I don't know what that means, but I'll go with British.
Are you on the right, or are you on the west or east coast of Canada?
East.
East. Okay, so like Quebec and stuff. That sort of.
Yeah, I'm in Toronto.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. I think that leans more towards French Canada. I think my Canadian knowledge is limited at just that, pretty much. The Rockies are somewhere,
it's
right?
Sufficient. Yeah, they're somewhere up there.
Your knowledge of North American geography is not the best. So
I don't see any mountains, so it doesn't matter.
I also don't see any mountains. But then again, I am in South Florida, so what do you want?
So, what you guys been up to? Any sort of video gaming and stuff? Spazzy, you just finished Metroid.
I did just finish Metroid. And then afterwards, I went and I added the Amiibo functionality for it because I felt like it was cheating. But then I'm like, screw. But it's funny because it's kind of an in-between because once you add the Amiibos to the game, you unlock an extra missile tank, extra energy tank, extra Eon bar tank, or whatever. And I'm like, I don't need that for the game. But there's also that completionist part of me where I'm like, but I need all of them. So afterwards.
Do you just have the Smash Amiibo? Or do you have the
I bought the 2 new
Metroid
ones.
okay.
Yeah, if you followed my Twitter, you would know this.
I've been behind on a few things recently on Twitter.
Yeah.
Even like I haven't been doing any of my quizzes on Twitter for like all of September. I've just been busy. My birthday's coming up, and I've been preparing, and I've had my girlfriend round.
Just make sure to follow Nerbion, and you'll be fine. Anything important to be said will be said by Nerbion. No, but I enjoyed it a lot. Like I was telling you a little bit before we started recording here, I feel like in some ways it's going to be a bit of a divisive game. In the way that people talk about what they want, like let's say out of a Zelda game, they're like, I just want really well-tuned and well-designed dungeons, and I want story, and I want this. And other people are like, no, I want that feeling of exploration and progression and to go through and do things my own way. And this game it's not as linear as Fusion, but it's close. And it's really hard to do any sort of meaningful sequence breaking. So you're not going to get that feeling of playing Super Metroid, where you're going around and doing whatever you want and figuring out ways to do things. But on the other hand, the combat's great. And there's actually a lot of neat puzzles, which I feel like you don't see as much. Environmental puzzles that involve your power-ups, especially once you get the grappling beam and other things, which you don't see quite as much in other Metroids. And it's a good game. They added a lot of quality of life things. There's teleportation rooms now.
Yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah, and like what I was telling you before too, what I thought was neat was the Aeon abilities are basically magic. It's basically like from the Vania part of the Metroidvania. They're like, this is your magic bar, and these are your magic spells. They don't call it that because it's Metroid and it's more sci-fi. But seriously, like, here's an extra resource bar, and you can spend the extra resource bar on all of these abilities that augment you in different ways or do neat things. And I'm like, yeah, this is a magic bar. Metroid gave you magic bar. But yeah, that's basically all I was playing. I'm looking forward to SteamWorld Dig 2.
Yes, that is a good game. That's what I've been playing recently, along with a bunch of other stuff to review. And I'll talk about it a bit more in depth later on, because I have it on our list of stuff. But SteamWorld Dig 2 is a very good game. Like, I'm still trying to get that 100% secret that no one knows how to find yet. It's been bugging the fuck out of me. But that's good. Now I'm doing Metroid, and I'm also doing Knack 2. Knack 2 on very hard mode, and I've never played Knack before in my life.
Ooh, are you sure you're ready for Knack 2?
See, I've got to prove my gamer cred, so of course I have to prove that Knack is the game I'm good at.
I've also been playing some Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite on the PS4.
Okay.
Not a whole lot of it, but just my cousin's been over. We've been playing it a bit. It's good. It's a Marvel vs. Capcom game. The roster's kind of whatever. It's weird going back to just because the button layout's so different. And I'm not like a big fighting game person, so I'm not the best person to talk about it. But you don't have the dedicated launcher button. You have the triggers are swap out. You only have 2 characters. It just feels so different from 3, which is a good thing. And like I said, I haven't been playing enough. X is pretty awesome. I feel like Thor is way better too. But
what about you? What sort of games have you been playing recently?
I've been really strapped for time because of my work, but some PS4 stuff, Nier Automata specifically. I'm trying to get through that. That just sold 2 million, so that's pretty exciting. I think Square Enix said it had potential as a series, even though it was already a series. But I guess specifically this, the Automata stuff.
So. Yeah.
You know what else has potential as a series? Square Enix, Chrono Trigger.
Yeah,
that is potential for a series.
That sure does.
That is true. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So does the World Ends With You. I think that has potential for a series as well.
Is it selling 2 million though?
I don't know. What did the iOS port do?
Oh yeah, they did port that to iOS, didn't they?
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to our news articles then. And
let's do it.
First one of these is one that's been making quite a few rounds because of how, I guess it depends how you look at it, how sweet it is. There's a secret Easter egg on the Switch itself, an NES emulator of all things, that just has golf on the NES, and with added motion controls. But the way to access it is incredibly specific. You have to be on the date that Iwata died, which I believe is July 11th, and then you have to go to the menu screen, and without pressing any buttons, you have to do a directly to you, for Iwata's iconic pose from the Nintendo Directs towards your Nintendo Switch and hold it for a certain amount of time depending on your region. And if you do all that correctly, then it should play a noise and just take you to golf. And the reason they picked golf is because that's a game that Iwata worked on. It was one of his first games that he worked on for Nintendo. And it was just recently discovered, and we have no idea what, why it's in there or anything like that. I mean, it's clearly a homage to him, considering how to get the game, you have to go through a bunch of stuff that reference him. But it's really randomly there.
Do we know for
sure
that is it 2017 specifically, or is it that date on every year?
No, it's that date on every year.
Okay.
That date on every year. What people have found is that you can't change the game's internal clock to that date and then get it to work, because the Switch has a cache that, once you connect it to the internet for the first time, automatically logs what date and time it is, and then keeps its own background check.
Yeah, I figured they probably do that for like cheating and stuff online, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I think. That the good example I thought of was Animal Crossing, where you could go back, you could reset the time and change things. You might not be able to do that anymore, because you can change the date and time manually so you can see it differently. Yeah. But the Switch still knows exactly what the real date and time is for you.
That's nuts. What's the point of resetting now?
Yeah, good question. I guess for Europe, if you want to know. I mean, maybe, I guess if you're going from one country to another, you might want to change the time, because I don't think the Switch does it automatically. Time zones and stuff like that.
I think it does if it's online, and that's the other thing, because if you've never taken your Switch online, you can change the date. It's just that it syncs up if you have.
Yeah.
So if you go and you buy a Switch at the store right now, you could reset the internal clock to July 11th, 2029. And I'll be like, oh, sweet, I guess it's July 11th. The minute you hook it up to the internet, it'll be like, that's a lie. Stop lying. Why are you such a liar?
But what are your thoughts on the Easter egg itself? A lot of people seem to think it's a really, really good Easter egg. I do as well, but I kind of have weird mixed feelings about it. I don't know, there's something... People have been calling it a warming tribute to Iwata, but I'm like... Do we really need something that references the day he died and his death and stuff in the Switch? Seems... I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it.
How well known is his birthday in comparison?
I guess it's not known.
like there's not a whole lot of info on Iwata, in terms of personal info, which is fine, but it is a bit odd that they've got his voice just straight up in there, but it's almost like a memorial almost.
Yeah, well, the Switch was his final system. I mean, he was working on this before he passed away.
Right.
So it's the final. Yeah, it's the final console he'll ever work on, and he was there. Well, I mean, he didn't make the hardware for the NES, but he made games for the NES. Yeah. So
it was certainly interesting to see this go from we found an NES emulator in the Switch, and Virtual Console's probably happening, to this is an Easter egg thing specifically for Iwata. It was really interesting to see that transition.
There was at some point people wondering if it was even real,
yeah,
because one guy randomly got it to replicate, he says, and no one else could figure out how to do it.
Well, that was my favorite part, is that for months nobody thought that it was an actual thing, because somebody I accidentally triggered it on July 11th, and people just made fun of them, and then later, just a few weeks ago, when people actually dug through the code, they're like, there's something here, and that triggered somebody to be like, oh, hey, remember this guy we made fun of?
I didn't know it went back that far. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, because there was in the GBA temp forum, there was a post on July 11th saying, hey, so my Switch started playing golf, and what's up with that? And everyone's all like, why are you crazy? Maybe you're... What's funny is that you can go back to the post, and a lot of them are saying, must be haunted. And kind of it is. It is kind of haunted.
Haunted with the spirit of Iwata.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a tribute. That's all. It's it is kind of a memorial. It's I don't remember where I was seeing somebody on Twitter talking about, we're also looking at it in a very Western way. But it's just kind of a very Japanese thing of having Iwata kind of watch over each one of the Switches,
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, it's quite sweet that way in that regard then. I think it's interesting that they added motion controls to the game. An NES game where you can apparently play it by swinging the Joy-Con to replicate.
It actually functions that way? That's really interesting. I didn't know that.
Apparently. That's what I initially heard. I mean, I haven't tried it out because obviously I haven't been able to get it to work. But from what I heard when we were first discussing it and people were still trying to figure it out,
that's actually
there seemed to be an indication that you could use motion controls on it. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong.
No,
but I'm right,
that lines up with the sort of like it's experimenting they were talking about with NES and SNES type stuff in terms of like, some games you might be able to play online with people, even though it's an old.
Well, that's what
really
I'm wondering.
Game.
I'm wondering if they're adding features like that in an attempt to make it more justifiable to rebuy it again.
It's really cool to see them doing that kind of stuff, like with the Pokemon Virtual Console games. I think was some of the first stuff where they started going from like, here's an old game, but we're gonna sort of hook it into like the current gen. Yeah, like trade your Pokemon out of this Virtual Console game. Why not? It's crazy what they can do.
That's quite cool. I'm wondering what they'll do. Like, would they release? Because they're releasing Super Mario Brothers Versus, obviously, which is a different sort of game to Super Mario Brothers original. But I'm wondering whether or not they'll do stuff like add HD Rumble to Super Mario Brothers, or make it link to whatever say Mario Maker. Like, imagine if they release a new Mario Maker and you can connect it to Super Mario Brothers 1 or 3 or World, and it does something somehow. Like,
right. Well,
you could import levels.
You have to look at. Well, first of all, I feel like the motion controls, if that is a thing, because I remember seeing the photos of it, but I've never seen anybody play the game, so I don't know if that's how it works. But if it is there, it also makes sense because once again, this is a tribute to Iwata, and Iwata, was kind of the father of the touch generation, and then the motion controls. Like the Wii was his biggest success.
Yeah.
So that makes sense in that way. But I feel like with Nintendo's Virtual Console, it was basically just a ROM dump. Like maybe they'll fix some text or something. But for years, we've been seeing companies include new options when they re-release games. Like even if you look at the 3D classics on the 3DS, and you look at the ones that Sega did as opposed to the ones Nintendo did, Nintendo ones were usually just a dump. The only one that I can think of that they really changed anything was Kid Icarus when they added the backgrounds.
Yeah.
A lot of the Virtual Console games that they release have patch stuff that you wouldn't really be able to notice on the surface.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. That's like changing text or doing slight modifications. When like Sega did like Sonic 3, the 3D version of the Sega Genesis Sonic game, the original game, for instance. They added different filters, different save options. They, gave him the spin dash from 2, which they've done in other Sonic re-releases.
I mean, the chances are likely, but it all depends on if Nintendo has the source code for these original games. Otherwise, their work is going to be like tenfold to go and hack a compiled ROM. I
reckon they do. Nintendo seem to be quite good at keeping the save files of their stuff, so I reckon they do still have that. I think that before, 3D classics are slightly different. Kirby's probably the most same, but 3D Urban Champion completely changes the angle that you view it at when you view it in 3D mode. And Excitebike also... Well, Excitebike 1 is somewhat similar, but the background is different in that one compared to the NES one. So they did try to change some things. But yeah, normal Virtual Consoles just save state.
But even something like with having the CRT filter is something that, like, Nintendo wouldn't do. Or when you look at like the Disney Afternoon Collection, that rewind feature. Like I feel like a lot of companies try to give you extra value when they re-release games. Nintendo with a Virtual Console, especially on the Wii U, and the Wii U wasn't as bad. On the Wii in particular, was just like, here's some ROM dumps, have fun.
Yeah. Well, the Wii was the first time they'd done it, so I can kind of see that. The Wii U, they added save states, and they had to try and justify you rebuying it.
Yeah.
And at least the Game Boy emulator, a Game Boy emulator did have filters. The Game Boy Virtual Console, you could swap between the original green or the actual color it was meant to be.
The DS ones were really nice too because you had so many options on how you could display them.
Configure the two screens, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully, they'll announce it by the end of the year. Whenever they talk about their online stuff, I reckon is when Virtual Console will be talked about. But let's move on to the next news article, which I put in here because I know you have the game. I don't think either me or Em do. And that's Super Bomberman R is getting a new update with more content and more modes and character skins, 2 based on Zone of Enders and 1 based on Rumble Roses. So, Em, you don't have Super Bomberman R, do you?
No, I don't.
No, I didn't think so, and I don't either. I was debating it, but ultimately I can't justify buying it for full price with the amount of money I have. So,
I'm sure it'll go down eventually. Well, we're not friends anymore, man. Sorry.
But
it's a much better game now than when it launched. Also, it's a much better game now than when it launched. Super random and quick aside. Is Recore. Recore's a good game now. You guys should play Recore.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of Recore.
Bomberman.
Anyways, Bomberman. I just want to point out that that character from Rumble Roses was on our Konami Smash Brothers.
Yes, she was. That's the only reason I know who she is. It was like the only reason I recognized her.
And Zone of Ender characters were a big point of discussion, but didn't make the final roster. I kind of wish they did now, so it'd be like, yeah, see.
Well, I feel like the Zone of Enders one, because didn't Konami just announce the Zone of Enders 2? I keep seeing trailers for it popping up all over the place, and I don't know if it's a new game or a remake or a reselling.
I think there's like an HD version. Is that what you're talking about?
I don't know. I just see Zone of Enders 2. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that one.
I think it's for VR. I think. But
okay, that's why it flew under my radar.
Yeah, I think it's PS4 VR, and they announced it. But then they announced that, and then they announced two Zone of Enders costumes for Super Bomberman R. I feel like they've got to be linked. Like you get like a Zone of Enders costume before you get a Snake costume, or.
Well, what's funny is you bring up Snake. The thing about Zone of Enders is that it's a Hideo Kojima game, and the reason the reason we didn't get any sequels, I think, is because he didn't feel like making them. But now that he's gone, they're like, whatever, Zone of Enders. But yeah, Bomberman's fun, and the last round of characters were interesting because each of them got like a special ability. Pyramid Head was broken because he has like I haven't played the game since that DLC came out, but I'll boot it up again for this. It's definitely a fun game, and it's really nice to see Konami supporting a game this long. And a game that a lot of people felt when it came out, it didn't have the content to justify the price tag.
Yeah.
But it's gaining that content. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's awesome. Especially and it's a franchise that a lot of people had given up on. It said it's dead. But I'm hoping we see a little bit more from Konami. Konami's been doing a little bit better.
I'm wondering how much of that is Konami or how much of that is Nintendo, like trying to push Bomberman.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Bomberman for Smash.
So I mean, I like that they're supporting it as well. I like, especially because it's all free content as well. It's showing Konami in a good light for what they've been recently. But until I get the game, none of this really affects me. Hopefully they keep supporting it, and then like we get another update with more costumes and more modes, and then it has a price cut, and then I can buy it, and I feel like it's worth the price.
Yeah, I mean, right now,
I'm sure it's a good multiplayer game to have.
Right now, Konami, is this the only Konami game on the Switch? Because they're not bringing their PES soccer game on at the moment.
Yeah, PES isn't there, and Metal Gear Survive isn't planned for it. But I don't know what other games they have. But Zone of Enders 2 now, but that's a VR game, so.
I know when Castlevania came out on Netflix, they said, "Hey, maybe we'll bring a Castlevania game to Switch." And
hopefully, who knows?
Yeah,
maybe they will.
Be excited. That'd be a good E3 reveal next year, man.
Yeah. All right, so let's go on to the next article. So this one is a statement from Reggie Fils-Aimé, president of Nintendo of America, and he said something very interesting in an interview recently. He claims that they dramatically overstocked the Switch from their initial plan, but there was still too much demand, and that's why there's still a shortage. And I don't know, I put this in here because I'm not quite sure what to feel about this statement. It sounds very much just like PR talk. Because I know that they planned on underselling the Switch initially. By the end of the month, they were only planned on selling, however, 2 million units, was it, or something like that? So I think it was something quite low for a console launch, and they'd only made enough Switches to kind of match that, and then they added an additional million after that, and stuff like this. But to say that they dramatically overstocked it seems like hyperbole.
Overstocked
to me.
is a weird word to use in that scenario.
Yeah. Like, because surely if it is, surely if you overstocked it, then you are meeting the demand. Like,
yeah.
We said over-delivered, not overstocked, right?
Yeah.
Let me pull up the article, which is slightly different.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Fair.
We over-delivered on awesome games like Zelda. Sorry, guys. We'll try to dial it back.
No, I'm like, I don't know. I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on, like, do you think that this is just PR chat, or do you think this is do you think they like genuinely did make lots more Switches than planned, and they're still all sold out?
Yeah, they probably didn't start production soon enough, and it seems like it was pretty rushed. At launch, there were a huge amount of Switch units that were malfunctioning in like really concerning ways. So it seems like they might have gotten it right by now, but they still have a really bad issue in terms of like stocking enough hardware for like the classic console stuff is just an absolute mess. I don't know what they're doing.
Do you think they're doing it on purpose, or do you think they're doing it, by mistake?
Partly, and then probably also whoever their supplier is probably just like can't keep up.
I wouldn't say that there were that many issues with the Switch as far as any sort of defects or defaults.
Widespread, no, but
I mean, did you live through the Xbox 360 launch? there was literally a large portion of those consoles that died. Just red rings everywhere.
Well, an original PS3 is also set on fire and played too long.
Yeah, I mean, this happens on. This is okay. I don't want to go all Ian Malcolm on you, but there's a difference between the John Hammond Jurassic Park. He's like, when Disney opened Pirates of the Caribbean, it wouldn't even work for a week. John Hammond's all like, well, when the pirates break down, they don't eat people. And this is a Pirates of the Caribbean thing. There's some faults, there's some issues, but it wasn't. I personally know quite a few people with Switches, and none of the people that I know in real life or my online friends have had any issues. I know that's all anecdotal, so I mean, what does that really mean? Yeah. But I did know several people that had that's why I bring up the 360, because it's like a real thing that I know a lot of people saw. I'm like, huh.
Yeah, that was massive. You're totally right.
It's just like console launches. It happens. I believe there were even some issues with the PS4 when it came out, but
there's still issues with PS4 in terms of overheating
and of being a roach motel. But anyways.
Oh boy.
If you want a system that's gonna melt because of cockroaches in it, you should buy a PS4, guys. Just so you. Are you not aware of that, Nan?
I don't really get cockroaches over here. No, I wasn't aware of that at all. I'm not slightly cautious of my own PS4.
Yeah, you should look it up. It's kind of hilarious. A lot of people bring their PS4s in for repairs, and they're like, "Yeah, the problem is it's filled with dead, melted roaches because it gives off so much heat."
Why are roaches getting into this? Is this an American thing? I feel like the only time I've ever seen a roach actually is when I was in Japan. And once when I was in Canada. I've never seen them over in the UK, so I feel like this isn't a thing that I'm going to have.
Was that an issue with the original
I think
PS4
primarily with the original. I think it's just the way that it's designed. With it has like just enough space in it and it gives off heat. So
they go inside. Oh, okay, I thought you meant they like shipped them. And the roaches were inside.
No, like like yeah, it's just like a natural like hotspot where they're like, oh, this place is nice. Let's go inside of this PlayStation 4. It's a thing. Look it up.
Okay.
I'm not saying I have tons of roaches in my house, although living in a tropical environment, you see a lot more of them. I'm just saying it's a thing. It's a thing.
Yeah,
Look it up.
It's okay, Spazzy.
Oh.
We'll go on to the next one. This is kind of like 3 separate articles that are kind of all combined under one sort of theme, because it's all about Bethesda and Doom. So Bethesda came out and basically gave off a bunch of specs and stuff for Doom on the Switch. So Doom will run at 30 frames per second and at 720p, both on handheld mode and on docked mode. And it's 16 gigabytes on the cartridge, but the multiplayer has to be downloaded separately, and that's an additional 9 gigabytes. Which, to be fair, I think is a good way to do it, because there are people out there who want to play Doom and don't care about the multiplayer. Depends if it's like an obligatory download or not.
No, they're probably doing that for the cartridge size limit, so that they don't have to ship on the next size up.
Oh yeah, no, that is why they do it. But I prefer that they split the multiplayer and single player up rather than.
Yeah, it's probably going to be an optional download.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. But but Bethesda are happy with how Doom is coming along on the Switch, and they're happy with their current partnership with Nintendo, and they're hoping that it continues on and they can bring more and more of their games over to the system.
What other stuff do they have?
The Elder Scroll games.
They do Wolfenstein, they do Fallout, they do Dishonored, Elder Scroll games, or Skyrim's already coming. What else do they do? There's something else that's
they
big.
Did that
is
Rage
it Vanquish? Game. Is that them, or is that Platinum?
You guys remember
Vanquish
Rage?
is Platinum.
Everybody's favorite game, Rage?
No.
I actually do remember Rage. Not that it's any good, but I remember it. They have Prey coming out soon, and The Evil Within as well. Oh yeah, that's something they commented.
The
I think
is coming out.
there's The Evil Within 2 is coming out, isn't it? Someone else made a comment that they would like to see it on the Switch, like the creator of The Evil Within
2 was one of their big showcases at E3 this year. Wolfenstein 2 looks awesome. Also, at E3, I should have taken some pictures of it, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But their actual setup was awesome. They gave out milkshakes. It was great. I think right now with Doom, an Elder Scrolls game, and Wolfenstein, the big thing, the big one that I think is really missing is Fallout. Like that's the big one. But they do have quite a few games.
Right.
And then the thing is, you have to think about how long have they been milking Skyrim for? When is the next Elder Scrolls game going to come out? Yeah.
Elder Scrolls coming out.
Yeah, when people stop buying Skyrim.
Yeah. Well, if Wolfenstein 2 is a good indication, whenever they do announce the next Elder Scrolls game, it will come to PS4, Xbox One, PC, and Switch all at the same time. Well, Wolfenstein 2 is coming slightly later than the Switch version, but I have to imagine that making the Switch version started later than making the other versions, because of the fact that the Switch is so new and they probably didn't give out div kits long enough ago.
Okay, I just looked up Bethesda, list of Bethesda games, and Wayne Gretzky Hockey in 1988. That's another series.
Need it.
There hasn't been a game since 1990, but you never know. So we can see.
Yeah, they also have the rights to the Pirates of the Caribbean video games. So, with new movies.
I did find it odd that they're only doing Wolfenstein 2 on Switch.
I feel like nowadays more people do than don't for sequels. It's not like when Assassin's Creed Unity comes out, and people just bought an Xbox One, and they're like, I've never played any of the other ones because I never had them. Whatever, you just play them. It's not the same thing where people feel like they have to play games sequentially, except for or like an Elder Scrolls game. Screw that. Except for games that are like really BioShock, completely different, that are really sequentially story driven. Like I wouldn't buy Mass Effect 3 if I hadn't, you know what I'm saying, played the other Mass Effects. But for the most part, like I think it's fine. You're killing Nazis. You get the point.
I don't think the story is the big focus of Wolfenstein, so I think
I wouldn't.
Okay in that regard. Like
I think there's something with.
I think that's.
I recall reading something somewhere with part of the reason you probably wouldn't see the older game was the engine that they used in it wasn't a very scalable or good engine. so it would be kind of a pain.
Oh yeah,
It's not a surprise.
I'm actually really surprised that Rocket League is coming to Switch, because Nintendo's been pushing like, oh yeah, we totally destroyed Unreal Engine 4. Like anything Unreal Engine 4 can run on our system, but Rocket League's Unreal Engine 3, and it's like really different than Unreal Engine 4. So I don't know how they did it.
Well, actually, I'm glad you brought Rocket League, because the people who are porting Rocket League over are the same people who are actually porting Doom over.
Oh, no
apparently.
kidding.
So, and they've apparently got more games, more AAA games that they're currently working on to port over to the Switch from other systems. So I don't know if Wolfenstein 2 is one of them or not. They haven't said it is, so it might not be.
Do we know what developers doing the porting?
What were their names? We do know what they're called. I just haven't got it off the top of my head right now, but I could probably figure it out in a second.
What I don't understand actually is I've seen gameplay footage off camera of reviewers and game journalists playing Doom on the Switch. But I don't understand how that's a thing, because I was told by people on forums that it was literally unplayable at 30 frames per second. So I don't know what sort of magic is going on there. I don't understand why their hands aren't catching on fire or something, because I was told it's not a figurative thing. It is literally unplayable. So
trying to just look up who's making it. Apparently the snap map mode, whatever that is, isn't in the Switch version.
And nothing of value was lost.
Yeah, I'm going to say I only really played it for the
story. Yeah, the single-player campaign is good. And
I only played it for the single player, the story.
I think for a game system that's largely a portable, it's a hybrid, but, big selling point is look what you can do on a portable. I think games with good single-player campaigns are going to be important. I'd love to see Borderlands. I'd rebuy some of the Borderlands games on Switch, because those are great games to play on the go. I mean, they're also really awesome when you actually get online and play with friends, but
I wouldn't want to see that, because guaranteed the porting isn't going to be great.
I mean, dude, there were games that ran on last-gen hardware, all of them.
Have you seen Borderlands on Vita, though?
This is not the Vita. This is far above the Vita. I mean, I understand, but
they could have done so much more to optimize it, though. They didn't. It runs at like 10 frames a second.
I feel like Nintendo lends their magic to people. I mean, they have a seal of quality, man. A seal of quality.
So the people porting the game are called Panic Button.
Right.
They're an American-based studio. You go on their website, and they've got Rocket League for the Switch, to be announced, Alien Race, which is a mobile game, and a bunch of other stuff. Oh, Recall. There you go. They helped work on Recall. And Octodad Dadliest Catch. There we go.
Yeah, I'm looking over their profile on Giant Bomb.
Yeah.
There is some interesting stuff here. Hulk Hogan's main event, Xbox 360.
Oh, nice. Well, they got an interesting team. Like, their team's made up of people who worked on Turok, Metroid Prime, Abe's Exodus, NBA Jam, Mass Effect, Star Wars, KOTOR.
Austin, Texas. I wonder if there's some people that came over from
Retro.
Yeah.
Well, considering it's got people who worked on Metroid Prime, that has to be the case.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting. I'm curious because they have said, we got more ports coming. I wonder what those ports are. So,
does it seem like they're gonna? Well, I guess they wouldn't specialize in first person stuff, because their library seems pretty varied. Yeah, I guess anything goes.
Yeah, and I mean, well, only one of their games that they're porting so far is first person, because Rocket League's not first person. Yeah. So let's all we can do is speculate right now. But moving on to a game that we do know has just been announced to come to Switch is Inside. The game by the people who made Limbo. They announced, I think this morning, that Inside was coming to Switch, which is really good for me, because I actually did want to play Inside, and I never really got around to it. So coming to the Switch, I might be slightly more motivated to pick it up. Did either of you get to play Inside?
Not yet.
I'll be honest, I'm not sure what Inside is, so let's find out.
Did you ever play Limbo?
I did play Limbo. It looks kind of like that.
Yeah, it's the same people. It's the same kind of game.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure what the plot is. I think you're someone who's like an inmate or someone in an asylum or something trying to escape,
Okay.
or you're trying not to be caught.
So you're someone on the inside, and you're trying to get outside? All right, got it.
Yeah, I think so. But, it apparently plays very much like Limbo does.
I feel like I remember seeing at least a trailer for this at some point. It looks really familiar now that I'm looking at images of it.
Yeah.
But
I've heard mixed things about it. Like, I've heard that it's got a really good story, but it's a bit too short for the money that they were charging for it, and some people say that people overblow the story as they do, but gameplay wise, I haven't heard any negatives for it. So, yeah, that's coming to Switch now. Yay, more support.
Yeah, there's a lot of games that are like that, especially indie games. There's a lot of games I would double dip on, or I never picked up Owlboy. That looks interesting. If it came out on Switch, I'd be like, man, sure, I'll buy Owlboy.
It is coming out on Switch, so that's a good thing.
Is it? Well, there you go.
Yeah, it's coming to Switch. I also didn't pick up on Owlboy at the time, but I might do if it comes to the Switch. I need to look over the indie catalog.
I think. I also think that open world games are going to do well. I think Breath of the Wild kind of established that. I guess the real test will be Skyrim and Xenoblade. We'll see how both of those games do. They're both very different types of games, but they're both kind of fit that mold.
I think Skyrim's the one that they want to see for multiplayer, for third party. Even if Skyrim does well, then I think more third party will start bringing over their open world games.
You know what game I'm kind of worried about sales wise is LA Noire. I feel like LA Noire is really going to get lost in the shuffle. Because I feel like before Bethesda or like Doom, Wolfenstein, blah blah blah, LA Noire was like, oh neat, maybe I'll pick up LA Noire. But I feel like between other, I know it's a very different type of game, but between other mature games like Skyrim and Doom, during the holiday season, the fall and Christmas seasons, it's not gonna get that many sales, and I'd hate for that to be the game to be like Rockstar, be like, well, we tried something.
Yeah, LA Noire's a weird one. Like, it's a weird type of game anyway, and I can't say it's an older port because Skyrim is, I think, possibly even older. But you're right. I think it's because the more big AAA third party games get announced for the Switch, the more each one is going to kind of lose its luster. Because you're right. Before they announced Doom and stuff, they announced LA Noire got announced, and the only big sort of third-party game like that we knew of was Skyrim. And then, of course, Doom and Wolfenstein and stuff. And if this trend continues, let's say Rockstar announced GTA 5, for example, let's just magically assume that happens, and it's coming to the Switch, then I think luster for Doom will suddenly drop down because it's GTA 5, and no one's expecting it.
Right, I feel like people literally straight up forget about Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. Revelation's a weird one because it's not like Resident Evil hasn't been on the Nintendo. I mean, the original Revelations is a 3DS game that they also brought to the Wii U. So it's only really the second one that's new here, and even then that's not new because it's been out on other systems. But I mean, they all have. But my point is, like, they're repackaging the Wii U game and then adding the second one on top of it, I guess.
Yeah. And
it's weird because the second one's a download on the Switch, but the first one is on the cartridge.
Yeah, I feel like you're going to see that more and more.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't mind that. I mean, if they release the Resident Evil Origins collection on the Switch, I might pick it up. That's the first one and 0 HD in one pack, or if they do the same thing with 2 and 3, especially if they do it with 2 and 3, because 3 I've never played, so I'm interested in picking that one up.
Yeah, and I feel like you're not gonna have to worry. You're definitely not gonna have to worry about indie support, at least.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, you definitely have plenty of that. So
okay, so to the next article then, with only 2 more news articles to go, is something else that got announced this morning, I believe, and that's Super Mario Run, the mobile phone game, is getting an update with a playable Daisy and a new campaign with a remix. So this is interesting because actually a few weeks ago when Super Mario Run disappeared from the App Store, a rumor started flying about saying this was going to happen. And people kind of dismissed it because Nintendo had already said that they had no plans to keep Super Mario Run updated. It also has Daisy in it, and that instantly makes people think it's a fan thing. And yeah, I think there was just a lot of elements. It just, the guy suddenly came out with this information as soon as Mario Run got taken down, so it felt really fishy. But no, it's all true. And
I never bought Mario Run. I played the demo, and it didn't do much for me.
Okay, did you play Mario Run?
No, I saw it up close. It wasn't for me.
Fair. So I'm the only one who actually has it then. Or at least I did have it. I uninstalled it from my phone because I played it and I got all the characters and then I got bored of it.
Who are the characters?
So there was initially Mario, Luigi, Peach, Yoshi, Toad, and Toadette, and then they added 3 other Yoshis of different colors in like blue Yoshi, red Yoshi, yellow Yoshi.
Do you have to beat the whole game with every character?
No. You don't. Well, you beat the game once, you get Peach, and then the rest are all gotten by doing Toad Rally, where you have to get a certain number of Toads in your town, and when you get a certain amount of a certain color, you get them. I think Toad just unlocks either halfway through the game, or you get him by doing Toad Rally a couple of times. But then to get the different colored Yoshi, so to get green Yoshi, you need a certain amount of green Toads, and to get blue Yoshi, you need a certain amount of blue Toads, and so on. And yeah, so they've added Daisy because you can play as Peach, they needed a different princess you have to save. Which is why Daisy's been included.
Oh, she's not even playable?
No, she is playable, but once you beat the new campaign, you then unlock her in the same way that once you beat the old campaign, that's how you got Peach.
Okay.
So I have no idea how she's going to be any different from Peach, if she's going to be any different. Because Peach can float. That's her, her usual gimmick.
She's yellow.
I'm genuinely curious what they're going to do, and I might re-download Super Mario Run and try and unlock Daisy just to have a look. But okay, I didn't know who else had it, so I felt like bringing it up anyway.
Well, I mean, it just goes to show that if you believe enough, and you will it enough, good things happen. That's way to go, Memory Man. You wanted it enough.
Maybe this is the start of Daisy showing up in more stuff.
Yeah, my opinion on Daisy is she seems pretty superfluous, and I don't care if she's there or not. Sure, bring Daisy.
What if it's the year of Daisy next? What if this is setting up for the year of Daisy, like we had the year of Luigi?
That's fine. I have no strong opinions about Daisy either way. She doesn't annoy me, and she doesn't excite me. She's there.
Okay, so the last news article we had today, put on as requested by Spazu, is
the most important one.
Sega announced that Sonic was teaming up with Hooters for some promotional Sonic Forces thing, and this is the most bizarre promotion I've seen for Sonic.
Sega's always done really weird stuff. Though.
I mean, Hooters doesn't even sell chili dogs. What's going on?
Right.
How can Sonic have any sort of association with them unless this is something continuing over from Sonic 06 that no one really wanted?
You know who does sell chili dogs is Sonic's, the fast food restaurant.
Why hasn't that happened yet?
Right? It writes itself. Ugh.
Unreal. Sega, get on it.
Yeah, you found the wrong establishment.
Are they locked into the Hooters contract for 3 years now?
We're going to get Hooters costume as DLC in Sonic Forces.
Some Hooters do have chili dogs. I just found out. I did some quick Googling, so I mean that is a thing. But it's not a marquee item, You know what I would have liked? Nah. DOA beach volleyball Hooters promotion. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That one is one that makes sense.
Yeah,
and
right?
they have the same sort of demographic. I think that's what makes this the strangest thing for me. Because the demographic for Sonic, I don't feel like is the demographic for Hooters.
I don't know. Maybe they're doing maybe if they dress all of the waitresses as furries or something. I don't know. Is that wrong?
They all dress as Sonic characters.
I apologize. I'm just trying to think of
Start opening some family-friendly Hooters locations.
Hooters is a family-friendly restaurant. That's how they describe themselves.
Just baseline? Sure. Why not?
Yeah, so That's a thing. So here's my question. I already said Hooters and DOA. What or Sonic with the restaurant Sonics? What promotion would you like to see? What do you think is a natural fit? And you're like, why hasn't that happened?
Or for Sonic or for anything?
For any franchise.
I was gonna say Super Mario and some sort of like plumbing service, but apparently he's not a plumber anymore. So
That sucks. How about Super Mario and some sort of medical practice? I mean, he is a doctor.
Doctor.
yeah, that's an option.
Why not Trauma Center and the NHS?
Oh.
Yo, where's the new Trauma Center game?
Oh man, I don't know.
Let's get some HD Rumble in there.
I don't know. I mean, we've had some weird ones in the past, like Parappa the Rapper and McDonald's. So
I don't see how that's weird
McDonald's
at all.
is an easy one. But
they did like Super Mario and like Baskin Robbins or something, right?
There's a new promotion for Super Mario, I think, that just got announced recently, and I don't remember, not quite sure what it is. It's a slightly old one as well. Oh no, it's not. It's it's not slightly old. It's just really money grabbing. The SanDisk memory cards, I think, like special Nintendo ones that are like twice the price, but even though they're the same amount of space and are basically just SanDisk memory cards. But they got so Mario on it.
It was maybe like half a year ago or something. They started doing like Super Mario stamps in Japan.
Yeah, I saw some of that. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I feel like Castlevania could go with something. Castlevania in the London Dungeon. That works. But only I get that.
Service.
Glover and Gentleman's Glove shops. Cross promotion. There we go.
So I've been reading the Game of Thrones books, and whenever they talk about House Glover, I like to visually picture the lords of House Glover as Glover, because it makes the book more fun for me to read. Anyways, just a little something to do. Just want you guys to know.
Release Glover 2.
Re-release it. Nintendo 64 Mini. Let's go. Glover 2.
Oh man, is that gonna happen?
Who knows? Let's find out how well the SNES Mini does when it comes out next week.
I got one. I fucking got one.
I got one as well. So I'll be playing Star Fox 2 next week and seeing how it's going. I might even stream it. Look forward to the possibility of that happening.
I'll say this. My Super Nintendo 2 is the European version, so we'll see how that goes. I sent it to Anvil's house, and now Anvil has to send it to me. So we'll see what happens.
Make sure you get the correct power source cable for it, so it doesn't explode.
Oh yeah, I probably.
No, it's the other way around. It's if you bring an American one over to here, I think it explodes. Actually, I think a British one to America just runs poorly. Because that's what it was like bringing a British one to Japan.
Aren't there like adapters?
You can buy an adapter, they're just expensive.
Oh, jeez.
You're better off buying unless you already have an adapter and you've got lots of British stuff that you just want that you can use, and then you can just use it. You're better off buying a separate AC cable that's just for one thing. Anyway, let's move away from news articles and talk about Source Gaming articles instead. So there are 3 that I picked on that I thought we could talk about. The first of these is a video that I did with Triss for our Smash for Switch discussions, which was new items that they could add for Smash for Switch. And so I thought it would be interesting to get more people's input on it. So for disclosure, the way we did it was we had 3 categories. We had items from, I believe it was, we had items from a series that's already got a playable character in Smash, items from a series that doesn't have a playable character in Smash, and items from a series that hasn't appeared in Smash yet. I think that's how we... Oh, no, sorry, that last one's not the case. It was, playable series in Smash, non-playable series in Smash, and then something just really random and obscure. But it could be anything.
Okay, so that one could be like Virtual Boy goggles.
Yeah, so like my one for that was the Ultra Hand item, which gives you an extendable grab, and then I also had the gun from Fire Emblem Heroes as a kind of like assist trophy type summon,
like a
and then I had a Splat Roller from Splatoon.
Yeah, I said like a Pokeball, but for Fire Emblem.
Yes, yeah, it's called like the Bart or something like that. That was the only thing I could think of. That or a staff from Fire Emblem, just a weapon from Fire Emblem because it doesn't have anything yet.
Huh.
And then I had a Splat Roller from Splatoon as a weapon.
Okay.
I couldn't think of anything else for that either.
All right.
But who wants to go first?
I'll go first. So, for a series that is not in Smash, let's see. What is a series? That one's hard.
Well, there's a lot of series to pick from. It's just trying to think of something that's worth picking from
right. It. Let me go. I guess to. Okay, so playable in Smash with no items. Xenoblade.
They can. Yeah. Okay. They can. It can be a series. It can already have items if.
Well, yeah.
You. It's up to you.
Well, let me do Xenoblade anyways because I thought of one.
Okay. Okay.
So in Xenoblade, you had gems that would affect you in the first game in different ways, right? It would affect your stats, or it would cause things. A big thing in the first game was spike damage, where especially for tanks, where if somebody attacked you, they would take damage. So what if you had a spike gem as an item, and while it was equipped, everything was normal, but when somebody attacked you, they would also take damage?
That would be a pretty cool idea. It's kind of like the Franklin badge, you know, how it reflects projectiles, and it's just something you have it equipped on. Yeah, you'd still take damage, but they would also take damage.
Right.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting idea, actually, and I think it'd be pretty easy to implement.
Yeah, and it's unique as well, so...
Yeah, they just have to wear it like a Franklin badge, like this big gem on their chest. So that, so that people can tell that they've got this spike thing on. But I can see that being case. Em, have you got any item?
Item, weapon, doesn't matter.
Yeah, as long as it's something I guess that a character can pick up.
Beam katana from No More Heroes.
Doesn't already have a beam lightsaber in the.
Scrap those. Replace them.
Just make them No More Heroes themed.
Yeah.
All right, fair. Spazzy?
Oh man, I don't know. Give me a minute. I'm thinking here of. I'm like.
It's a lot hard. It's a lot harder to do than I was initially expecting it to be.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to think through Zelda items and Metroid power ups and like obvious ones are like Mario Kart items because
right, but those are kind of boring.
Yeah, they are kind of boring, but they translate so well from Mario Kart to Smash.
Yeah, and some of the Zelda items too are interesting, especially the different wands and stuff. But once again, at this point, like I said, I'm trying to think of a series that doesn't have representation. Because that was the other thing after Xenoblade I was thinking of. I'm like, like the Sand Wand or like any of the relics from Breath of the Wild. You could do like interesting stuff with.
See, I was trying to think of a Rhythm Heaven item or a Golden Sun item that would work, but I'm not 100% sure of one. Like a Rhythm Heaven item has to be something that's. I feel like it has to be something from one of the mini games, like I don't know, a tambourine or something. But I'm just wondering how that would be in any way a good item.
That coin that you flip. With the timer, and then the higher it stays in the air, the more damage it does.
Yeah, like I guess it's kind of like the boomerang item, where the more you grab it when it comes back, the stronger it gets every time you throw it.
I mean, for my random one, for anything that doesn't have to make sense, I think the most obvious one, and I'm sure other people out there have thought of this, is just the gun from Portal, just Portal gun.
I wonder I don't think that'd be easy to implement at all.
No, it wouldn't, but you said. But I'm just thinking, if you said, "Can I have a random item in Smash? Anything it can be. It doesn't matter where it's from or what it does. Don't worry about us. We'll program it in." I'd say the Portal gun. You'd be like, "Well, I'm gonna."
Oh no.
Just go underneath. You do the portal there, and then do the portal to the like to the side of the stage. You just hit somebody in, and then they're spiked. It's great. It's the greatest adventure.
Well, Emma, have you got any other items?
I'm fresh out of items.
What do you guys think of the items? I guess the items that we talked about. I gave my 3. So there was the gun from Fire Emblem as an assist.
That's a very cool one.
The Ultra Hand, which allows for an extendable grab,
That's
so
good
you
for
can
them.
like grab from range. And then the Splat Roller, which is just a kind of a physical item that when you have it, when you move around, you damage people in front of you.
Yeah, I can't see them skipping Splatoon for the next game. They have to.
And then Triss's items were a blooper that goes up and then squirts ink on the screen and you can't see anything.
Nice.
And then he had another Mario item that I'm trying to remember. I feel like it was a power-up of some kind, and I don't remember exactly which one it was. It wasn't Double Cherry, because I thought of that one after we'd recorded it. But, I think he had Cappy as one. Like, you could throw it on to opponents and then take over their controls briefly.
That sounds pretty cool.
I think that was that one. And his random one was also from Splatoon. It was one of those sub-weapons. It was like a splat mine that moves along the ground.
Yeah, I was thinking for Murasami Castle, there's that item that's like the invincibility cloak. But like that's so boring because there's already items that do both of those things, you know?
Yeah, we already had an invisibility item in Melee, and everyone hated it because you couldn't see where you're going once you got it.
Yeah, I guess I think the hardest thing is thinking of Nintendo IPs that aren't already represented, because most of them are.
Yeah, it's hard. It's difficult. And the ones that aren't represented usually aren't because there isn't anything really to represent in any sort of way.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm like Pushmo, like Mach Rider's bike. You don't need Mach Rider. Just have his bike as an item. Now everyone is Mach Rider.
I think we've hit the end of that then. If we can't think of anything else.
Oh no, but I feel like there's got to be something that like I just am not thinking of.
Well, that's the same thing I had. I was like, man, I feel like there's a ton of stuff that would work, and I don't have it in my mind.
Golden Sun has a bunch of items, but I can't think of like what would work well like right now. I'm sure once this is over, I'll be like, oh yeah, that would totally work.
So I was wondering whether djinns work. You know, like a random one of the 4 djinns will appear, and if you kind of like how the cuckoo's there, and if you throw it at someone, a swarm of cuckoos attack. Like you throw it at someone, and then one elemental attack will happen, like a big rock will like shoot out the ground, or fire will fall from the sky, based on the type of djinn you used.
If only there was an article that I could reference to see all of the Nintendo IP that are not in Super Smash Brothers. If only somebody had compiled such. Oh, wait a minute! I'm totally on there. Oh, Badge Arcade Bunny.
Yeah, well, you just have badges as items.
Oh man.
I was actually because we had that conversation the other day about that article.
Yeah.
I ended up redoing it, adding in new ones like arms and stuff, and kind of being a bit more like thinking like, all right, is this actually a different IP, or is it like a sequel? And should I count hardware as its own IP, or like Wii channels as their own IP? Like, you know, properly going through it. Should I count Captain N as its own IP because it's not a video game, but I think Nintendo own it? And the total amount that they've got currently, with everything included and all my culling, is something like 201, 202 series that they own.
Yeah, there are a few companies that can mess with Nintendo's library.
Yeah. And it's mad. I was looking through it today, and I was like, they've been doing games since 1977. And so it's just like in the Discord chat, oh, give me a year, and I'll see I'll pick a game out of that year. And 1982 was the year that they gave me, and then I checked, and that was the singular year in nearly 40 years that Nintendo did nothing. It's like this weird stopgap because the Famicom released in 1983, and the last arcade game they made was in 1982. So clearly, this is a year where they spent time just. They might have released some Game & Watch games. They might have released like some random, like maybe Donkey Kong Jr. or Popeye was released in that year. So maybe they did release some licensed or sequel arcade machines. But they didn't release... It's the only year where they didn't release any sort of new series whatsoever. It's like the quietest Nintendo year. Which is just weird. I was looking at like, of all years, of all 40 years, you choose
the one
that doesn't have anything. But there you go. There's a fun fact for you all.
Thanks. Now we know. And knowing is half the battle, I hear.
All right. Next article is another sort of... this one's a Source Gaming choice. And it's about Travis Strikes Again, which people might remember that we talked about in the last podcast. And we decided to do a Source Gaming article where talking about what indie titles we would like to see in Travis Strikes Again, because it's a collaboration between No More Heroes and other indie games. And I actually didn't take part in this one because I couldn't think of any indie or how I would want them to take part.
Usually when we do these Source Gaming choices, we'll have 10 people respond. This time we had 3. I was also not... I don't think any of us were on this one. No, we weren't. I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, the 3 people that responded were Nerbion, who said SteamWorld Dig.
Right, good choice.
Push, who said Shantae. And The Anvil, who said Ukulele.
Right.
Shovel Knight and Hotel Miami and one other game are like the 3 games we know are in there. So
I would say Cave Story.
Yeah, you bum. That was mine.
Oh shit! Sorry. You say Cave Story. I'll say something else.
No, I'll think of something else. You already said it. You already beat me to it. Yeah, go on.
Cave Story is one of those games that was kind of one of the fathers of modern indie gaming. I feel like kind of the rebirth of these independently created games. It's an important game. It's been on Nintendo software or hardware a lot. I know that doesn't really matter, but it's a Switch game, so it's still something to think about. And also, unlike most of the indie games we're going to talk about, it's a Japanese developed game, and it's very popular in Japan. So when, you're talking about, No More Heroes, which is also a Japanese game by a Japanese developer, I think that sort of crossover kind of matters.
I would expect Super Meat Boy or Binding of Isaac or both.
I'm just not a fan of Binding of Isaac. I tried to be. It's just, I don't know.
I just think the aesthetic and the theme of those would probably fit the No More Heroes sort of world.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I think they would. I was thinking about them, but I found a much better one. And I'm going to shout outs to Megaduma, who I'm just going to totally steal what you just wrote in the comments. And that is that Travis is a massive wrestling fan and loves Mexican wrestling and stuff. So why not have Guacamelee?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's an entire game where you play as a luchador platformer and go across a very Mexican and Day of the Dead themed world. I think that would fit perfectly with,
that would be awesome.
No More
and
Heroes.
It's also very different and distinct visually
pick
from anything else. So that one. Yeah, that's perfect.
Like it fits. I think Travis would learn lots of Mexican wrestling moves, and I think Suda51 probably really likes it as well. So I feel like that has to be in the game.
Yeah, that one would be perfect. Although I still don't know what's going on with this game, so it's just like a regular. It's not a mini game collection. It's just regular No More Hero style combat with Travis going through different worlds, but he will wear a Shovel Knight shirt, but the games that he's actually going through are fake games that aren't real. Yeah,
it's weird. It seems to be like the games, are all made up games and all made up worlds, but they might be based on actual games, and then there are a bunch of indie games and companies that are referenced through shirts, but some will have more references than others. There are, I think because he highlighted that there were 6 in particular, like Hotline Miami and Shovel Knight are part of those 6. But I think he also said later on that those 6 aren't the only indie games in there. Just those 6 are special in some way.
Okay, that's a bit odd, but whatever.
Yeah, I have no idea, to be honest. No clue. So, all right. Then we have one more article, which I guess is more my one, and that's SteamWorld Dig 2 review, which I released a few days ago, right before the game came out. And this is my opportunity to gush about SteamWorld Dig 2, because it was absolutely fantastic game. Like, I was surprised at how much I really enjoyed it.
How would you compare it to, as somebody who hasn't played it, and I've seen several reviews, I've seen yours, obviously, a couple other ones out there, and seen some gameplay, but how would you compare it to somebody like myself who liked the first game a great deal? It wasn't like my favorite game or anything, but I liked it a lot. Like, how would you compare it to the first game? Like, if I like the first game, I will like this game. What does it do better, you know?
It does kind of everything better in, like, it's twice the length. Well, like, one of my issues with the first game was that it was
it was very short.
And this one is like, it took me about 8 hours to beat the game, and I beat it with a 93% rating, and then I did an additional hour and a half getting the final 7% to get 100%, and then there's actually post-game content, which they've been super coy about. Essentially, once you get 100%, you get given this blueprint, which you can activate, that has a bloody riddle on it that's like, at this spot and doing this at this time will take you to some place, and no one has figured out what it is. And I have no idea. I've been trying to figure it out, but lengthwise, this one's much better, and the tools that you get are much better. I couldn't 100% remember. In the first one, could you wall jump? Could Rusty wall jump?
I don't think he could, because I feel like that would have made it a lot easier on segments where it was you just dig a narrow hole down.
Yeah, because I remember in the first one there was ladders, and you had to place ladders, and Rusty had to climb up and down them.
Yeah,
down the mine shaft. That's gone completely from this one. Ladders aren't a thing. You get a hook shot at one point. You get a hook shot at some points. You can like just shoot around, but Dorothy can just infinitely wall jump up places, and which is a lot of fun. And you can sprint, and sprint and jump allows you to jump further. And you can get pickaxes, which can all be upgraded. And each of these things can get skills. You also get grenade launcher, and a sticky bomb, and a jackhammer. And all of these tools, they're far better than the tools you get in the first game. And each one of them you can get upgrade. You can get upgrade cogs to completely upgrade them and add new stuff, like get more experience, get more gems, make sure light run out like slower. Like, allows you to fire your gun in midair. There are really good power-ups you can unlock that make the game much easier and allow you to get stuff, like, it'll allow you to find more ore and more secrets, because there's a lot of secrets as well hidden around the level.
Could I jump right into the second game, or should I play the first one?
I think you could jump into it. I mean, the story does continue from the first one, but I think it's set, most of the stuff it says in this one, it kind of goes over everything you would have learned in the first game. There might be some contextual stuff that you don't know, or some like references to the first game that you don't get. Like, the main character in this one was the shop girl who you traded the ore to in the first game, and it's the first person Rusty meets. And Rusty, who's the main character of the first game, goes missing after that game, and she's looking for him. That's her plot. She's trying to find him, and she hears rumors that he's in this town.
Does Heist have any sort of story relation to these two?
Yes, kind of. Heist is a sequel to... This is set in between SteamWorld Dig 1 and Heist. But I think Heist, from what I've played, because I haven't finished Heist, but it's set much further in the future and doesn't really have any of the characters involved in this one. It's a new one. But this one does link SteamWorld Dig 1 and Heist together. Because before they had no connection other than the fact they're in the same world. Same for SteamWorld Tower Defense, which I just think still doesn't have any connection to anything. But,
right.
Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out what platforms I should look into these for.
Yeah, well, SteamWorld Dig it looks really good. Like, from visual standpoint. The music is very good. It reminds me of Donkey Kong Country at points. Like, there are some really good ambient soundtracks in that one. And another thing is that the SteamWorld Dig had essentially one really long mine that you just went down. Whereas this one has like four, 5 different areas that you can explore. They're each visually much different. And it's not necessarily... I mean, there's the one big mineshaft where it's just all about going down, but there are other sort of areas that to the left and to the right of the map that have essentially their own big mineshafts with their own puzzles and their own hazards and enemies and stuff to fight. So it all kind of it never feels like it's getting samey, which I feel the first one does at points. And which might be why it's so short to stop, because if it was any longer, it would start feeling boring. And this one never feels like that. So I was genuinely very impressed with this game. So, do you have anything up and coming that you want to talk about, Em?
Not particularly. I've been working on a couple of things for the site, but it's things have been moving slow, so can't really talk about anything yet.
Fair enough. No, I've had a really busy week this week, and apart from one review that comes out tomorrow, and I don't really have anything else. There are some Sonic articles I've been working on, but slowly just been pushing back because they're not major rush articles.
Right. Yeah.
And I do have something that I'm a video that will be getting made soon. We're trying out something new, a new sort of style. And I'm working with the graphics team to make some cool stuff for it. And I was meant to record it today, but I don't think I'm going to get the time to do it, so I'm going to try and record it tomorrow. But hopefully that's not out this week. It'll be out next week. I'm still waiting for some audio back, and I'm still waiting for some graphics back, so it depends when all of this comes together. But yeah, this is going to be a slow period for me, which is good because, like I said, my birthday is really soon, and I kind of want to enjoy that and not spend my entire time working.
Yeah, I hear that.
Spazzy's internet died. Well, I have no idea what he's got planning. Maybe it's something. Maybe it's not. Maybe he might have another hurricane. Hopefully he won't.
Yeah.
But, right. Thank you all for listening to episode 3. If you have any questions for us, you can leave them in the comments or on our Twitter or at our Discord, wherever. Depends where you're listening to this. If you're listening to this on YouTube, then like and share it with people. I hope we've entertained you for nearly an hour and a half. If you're listening to this on any other platform, do whatever it is that platform likes doing. I'm not familiar with how stuff like SoundCloud and iTunes work personally, but do that. And yeah, so thanks for joining us, and make sure you always return to the source, and I'll see you next time.